Hello, my name is Dev Ben Phil. This is Benjamin Zinn and Mr. Philip Bob, and we are DBP Industries. Here at DBP Industries, we pride ourselves on vehicles, especially supercars. Our cars are priced anywhere from about 85,000 to about 175,000 Great British pounds. All cars meet importation code. Our plan of attack, what are we going to be doing? Well, our plan is to go into the UK within central London as our hub and start a dealership. We feel that UK is the best spot because it houses some of the wealthiest people, anywhere from millionaires to billionaires, and it's a hot vacation destination for the Middle East oil tycoons. How are we going to sell? We're going to sell, like I said, through a normal dealership type setting. We're going to have one central location located within the UK, and that will be in the heart of London. And we're going to offer a couple services, one being a car-to-home service where you come into the dealership, customize your vehicle, and when it's ready, it's shipped straight to your residence, as long as it's within the UK. Is there a need for cars? Of course there are, especially in the UK. Their car market actually expanded by 10.6% in the first 6 months of this year. They had their second largest import are cars at 5.8%. And they also instilled a quantitative easing program that makes it easier and cheaper to borrow, making a vehicle easier to obtain. You also have personal car plans, also known as a lease, where you can finance half the vehicle for 36 months. At the end of the term, you pay the remaining balance or give the vehicle back. What are our labor needs? Well, we're going to have to hire a team of car professionals to lead our dealership. This team will consist of GMs, sales associates, finance managers, and service managers. We feel that our sales associates should make about £15 per hour, while our managers are paid at a salary of £50,000. And each sales associate and manager has a chance of making a bonus if they meet the requirements. We're also going to have to factor in the cost of ships to export our vehicles from our hub here in Louisiana to the UK. Expenses. What currencies are we going to be using? Well, we're going to be using dollars and Great British pounds. Dollars for our manufacturing and shipping costs, and we're going to be using Great British pounds when we take in from the sale of a vehicle, and use Great Britain pounds as to pay our team, or to pay our dealership team. We're also going to spend about $2,000 to $5,000 shipping the car. $2,000 will get you your car on the ship with just a regular wrap, no enclosure around it, and $5,000 will actually put it in a container where nothing can touch it until it arrives at the destination. Now, there are 5 factors that I'm going to talk about that are going to affect the GBP. There are many more, but these are 5 major factors. They include interest rates, employment outlook, economic growth expectations, trade balance, and central bank actions. First, interest rates. Interest rates play a big part in how the value of a currency is valued. If interest rates are higher, the value of the currency will fall, and if interest rates are low, the value of the currency will rise. For example, the Federal Reserve right now is actually intervening, making the dollar stronger by keeping rates relatively low, about 2.5%, while Britain is keeping their rates about 0.5%. So this in turn makes the U.S. dollar stronger relative to all other currencies, especially the pound. You can see here the base rate of the United Kingdom is 0.55%, while the rate in the U.S. is 0.25%. Employee outlook. The UK has seen a decline in the amount of jobless claims, a steady decrease in the unemployment rate. This can be seen as a sign that the UK is seeing growth. The decrease in unemployment rate will bring more people into the job market, meaning they have more money to spend, and the jobless claims means that there are less people looking or dependent on government aid. You can see the jobless claims here going down in the UK, while the unemployment rates are about 6.2%, while the U.S. unemployment rates are 5.8%. Economic growth expectations. The UK's economy is developed, meaning they should grow to about 2% every year. This year, they're actually going to exceed that 2%. They were valued at about 2.8%, but the British Chambers of Commerce has actually upgraded that growth for the next 2 years. 2014 growth will be about 3.1%, the highest it's been since 2007. And in 2015, it was upgraded from 2.5 to 2.7%. We would like 3%, but anything close to 3 is great, meaning the economy is growing. You can see here retail sales increasing. How does trade balance affect the currency? Well, there's a lot of ways. One way is when you have more imports than exports, your demand for your currency drops while the supply increases, meaning the value of the currency falls. So in the UK situation, they are running a trade balance deficit, but because of their economy so strong and their currency so sought after, that this trade deficit really does not affect the value as much as it would a undeveloped country. You can see the trade balance here is negative for the UK as well as the US, but the US dollar is strengthening. How does central bank even play into the value of currencies? Well, it's a big way. First, the Bank of England instilled a quantitative easing program in March and November of 2009. The goal was to lower interest rates to about 0.5%, which did happen. They wanted to increase the money supply. They also wanted to lower long-term borrowing costs. This encourages the issuance of new equities and bonds, as well as it keeps the inflation within the 2% target rate. Any higher, people want to be able to afford the goods, and any lower, you'll have deflation, which people that have borrowed money to sell their goods will not be able to pay for the goods that they've borrowed the money for. I'm going to hand it over to co-founder Mr. Benjamin Zen, and he will give you a little more on the factors of demand, importation controls, and indirect government regulation.
All right, cards are the number 1 exported product in the UK, but also the number 2 imported product in the UK. So the factors affecting the demand of our product are inflation, exchange rate, GDP, and import restrictions. The most important are inflation and the exchange rate. For inflation, right now the US has a higher inflation than the UK. In the US it's about 1.6%, in the UK 1.3%. Both the Fed and the Bank of England set a target inflation rate of 2%. However, right now in Europe the inflation is pretty stagnant, so we won't expect a higher inflation in the next coming years, which means that the dollar will have a higher value, which will make our product more expensive and will decrease the demand. The exchange rate, right here we have a graph. It's a year-to-date graph of the pound. It's quoted as a direct quote for the US dollar. We can clearly see a downward trend of the pound. The depreciation of the pound will make our product look more expensive in the UK and will decrease demand. GDP, or national income. GDP in the United States has been rising faster than in the UK, which puts an upward pressure on the US dollar and will decrease demand for our product. Import restrictions. We will have to obtain a DVLA license for each car that we import into the UK. The license is just to make sure that our cars meet the regulations for European vehicles. Also, we have to pay a VAT or value-added taxes. Since we're importing luxury cars, we fall into the highest bracket of the VAT, which is 20% of the value of our product. Also, we have to pay custom duty of 10%. Indirect central bank intervention. What if the Fed strengthens the dollar? If the Fed strengthens the dollar, our product will look more expensive and it will decrease the demand of our product. If the Fed weakens the dollar, our product will look less expensive and increases demand of our product. The UK pound is a free-floating currency, so we don't have to worry about any governmental intervention of the exchange rate. However, we will have to look at interest rates. Right now, the UK interest rate is 0.5%, which is much higher than in the United States. Both the Fed and the central bank announced that they will raise the interest rates in the next coming years. if the interest rate in the UK will stay higher, it will put upward pressure on the pound, which will eventually increase demand of our product because it will make our product look less expensive. And now I will hand off to Philip Bach, who is gonna tell you more about hedging our exchange rate risk.
Okay, our expectations for the pound are that the pound will continue to depreciate in the short term due to the interest rates in the United Kingdom staying higher, although slightly decreasing. But we don't expect the United States to raise their rates till later in the year. So this, mixed with the uncertainty in the rest of the world, makes the dollar look more attractive, keeping the pound depreciating in the short term. The value of the pound has been depreciating in the past month, 3 months, and year. And as the Fed has made their interest rate decisions, the value of the dollar has done the opposite and appreciated relative to the pound. For the spot market, we'll use it to pay expenses or facility charges or facility fees. We also chose to use the Deutsche Bank to exchange our currencies because the spread was pretty tight at 0.128% compared to the recent spreads. We chose to use the futures market instead of the forward market. We felt it would be the safer bet. We expect the value of the pound to depreciate in the short term, but the market looks like it expects it to appreciate. So we chose to buy the 3-month future to hedge against our risk of the pound depreciating and lock ourselves in at a higher exchange rate. So like I said, we chose about a 3-month futures contract. For an option, we chose to buy a put to hedge against our exchange rate risk. The strike price of this put is $1.57, and the expiration is 3 months. And since the strike is greater than the expected 3-month future rate, we figured even if the pound does appreciate, it's only 4 cents off from the premium, so we're still hedged against. We should still break even if it does appreciate. And we're also speculating and betting that the value of the pound is going to depreciate, and this option will allow us to take advantage of however far it depreciates in the next 3 months. And that's how we are going to hedge